Okay, so we're gonna try this again for the month of October. And the goal of the prompts is to get rid of my physical TBR, which is behind me. And so I already know that for October, I want to kind of read on theme. I want to read darker novels, something more related to the theme of like Halloween, maybe some creepier vibes. So what I've done is I've already pulled a lot of books that I would consider to be on theme for October. And so when I pull the prompts this time, I'm going to try to choose everything that I pull from that selection. Now, if you've been keeping up with this is only my second month doing this, and September was a disaster. I pulled 5 books, 5 prompts, and I only got through one. But I really blame real life for getting in the way of my reading, and also there were some ARC obligations that I had to just kind of deal with. So just to start out, for my TBR for October, already I know 3 books that I'm planning on reading, and so these are separate from the TBR Prompt Jar. This is a book that my followers on Instagram vote on. It's usually an romance, and this month's is The Magpie Lord by KJ Charles. Most people wanted me to read All of Us Murderers, but that isn't even out yet. So I selected that one, and that one won the vote. Very close race if you keep track of the goings-ons over there. The other 2 are 2 arcs, actually from Berkeley. One is Dead and Breakfast, which is kind of like a cozy murder mystery, which is like a thing I'm like dipping my toe into recently, and I've actually been enjoying it. And the other one is Colin Gets Promoted and Dooms the World, which is another arc, and both of those books come out later this month. So I'm crossing my fingers that I get through those pretty quickly so that I can then focus on these prompts. So here we go. Handy dandy prompt jar. And I think what I'll do is I will pull the 5 prompts out and then kind of stew a little bit and go from there. Now, I did put the prompts that I didn't read, like the books that I pulled for the prompts last month that I didn't read, I put them back in. So the only prompt that's not in here is like a book that takes place in a dystopian or like apocalyptic setting, because I did actually read that one last month. So without further ado, here we go. The first one is a queer historical fiction book, and I don't know how that's going to work with the books that I've pulled already. Damn it. Actually, I can make this work. Okay. Queer historical fiction. A queer short story collection. I got that one. I already know what I'm picking for it. I already know. A queer story written by an author of color. Some good prompts. Okay. I already, these are, I'm gonna pick some good books for these. Okay, I'm putting this prompt back, and the reason why is because it specifically says a queer summer romance. I'm not trying to read summer. I don't know. We should get like a free pass on 1 prompt draw each. Okay, I pulled 2, so let's see what we got. A story centered on queer friendship. Ugh, that one's gonna be hard. A book by a trans author. Ooh, okay. So, a queer historical fiction book, a queer short story collection, a queer story written by an author of color, and a story centered on queer friendship, and a book by a trans author. Let me go grab some real quick. Okay, so I have my picks, and I'm really excited for these. Some of these have been on my TBR for a while, and I buy books and I think I'm going to read, and then real life gets in the way, or a shinier book presents itself, and so I read that instead. But I think that I've done a pretty good job of like sticking to the theme of the month of October while also adhering to the prompts that I drew. Okay, so with the first prompt, I got a queer historical fiction book. So what I've chosen is Lev A.C. Rosen's Lavender House. This is the first in a series of historical fiction mysteries. It takes place in 1952. It follows a main character, Evander Mills, who is an ex-cop who was fired off of the police force for being gay, and he is investigating the death of the matriarch of this like powerful, influential family. And so it's, I believe it's like a locked room murder mystery, which is perfect for this time of year. And I've really wanted to get into this series for a while now because I've heard really great things, and I've read other books by this author and really enjoyed them. So I'm curious to see how he does with an adult murder mystery, because I think everything I've read of his so far has been YA. So this will be fun. I can do this. I can do this. You can do this, Brad. Okay. The second prompt I got was a queer short story collection, and I actually just picked this one up, even though I said I was not going to buy any more books. I did. I'm sorry. So I got Night of the Living Queers, which is edited by Shelley Page and Alex Brown, and I actually have read Shelley Page's work before, and I'm really excited about this. So Night of the Living Queers is a YA horror anthology that explores a night when anything is possible, exclusively featuring queer authors of color putting fresh spins on classic horror tropes and tales. It is my short story collection, and I'm actually really excited about it. I've heard really great things. So that is book 2. Listen, I am having a lot of trouble speaking tonight, and I just tried to film this next part like 5 times, so bear with me. The third prompt that I picked was a story centered on queer friendship, and I feel like that prompt is very open to interpretation. So I'm still in the YA horror genre, and I picked This Pact Is Not Ours by Zachary Sergey. So this one is giving me like, I don't know why the cover gives me Scooby-Doo vibes, but it's not. This is about a group of friends whose families are bound by a pact that keeps this campsite where they all go pristine, but there's a monstrous evil lurking underneath, and this pact keeps them in check, but at the same time there's always like this big sacrifice. But so I've heard really great things. I'm excited, and I love Tiny Ghost Press, which is the indie publisher who published this, so I'm looking forward to that one. The fourth one that I picked is a book by a trans author, and now I have been sitting on this book for far too long. I don't know why I do this to myself, because there are some really fabulous books out there. And so I'm doing Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas. I have read the Sunbearer Trials. It's amazing if you love like YA fantasy, and this I feel like is one perfect for this time of year. And I had the opportunity to meet Aiden Thomas at Queers and Quills in Portland. Wonderful human. He's amazing. And I actually just got this audio from Libby, so this is perfect. It's kismet. It's meant to be. So Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas. Check. This, I feel like I'm going to do this. I feel like I'm going to do this month. Okay. Last but not least, a queer story written by an author of color. And so what I am picking is Blood Debts by Terry J. Benton Walker. When I first heard about this book, it was pitched to me as like witches in like a YA witch version of Game of Thrones, where there's like families in play, and it takes place in Louisiana, and it gives like Vampire Diaries the originals vibes, like the spinoff. I don't know if my audience even knows what I'm talking about, but I really liked the originals. And so like this takes place in New Orleans. In New Orleans, God's metal and magic will betray you, but this time justice will reign. I'm excited. I got to meet the author at LavenderCon in DC well over a year ago, and I should have read this book sooner than now. And I'm actually kicking myself that, I've waited this long. But that's what I do. I buy books, I meet these incredible authors, and then I putz around and buy more books, and I don't read them. But okay, I can do this. I'm gonna keep talking myself up. So just to review, my 5 books from my TBR prompt are Lavender House by Lev A.C. Rosen, Night of the Living Queers, which was edited by Shelley Page and Alex Brown. A ton of authors in this one. This Pact Is Not Ours by Zachary Sergey. Cemetery Boys by Aidan Thomas. And Blood Debts by Terry J. Benton Walker. So that's it. Those are my 5 October physical books from my TBR. Working my way through these shelves behind me because I have a problem. So happy October to all of you. I hope all of your reads this month are on theme and bring you the vibes and creepiness that you are looking for. I hope you all have a wonderful reading week and a beautiful day.